Hello everybody, it's Patty, and I'm making this video to help those of you that are interested in learning human anatomy and physiology with me online. And I want to explain a little bit about how the course is set up, how to progress through the material, and what to expect. Okay, so first and foremost, I did change my website name. I believe if I move this down a little bit, you can see the web address right here. It is, let's see if I can draw here. It is Anatomy and Physiology, all one word, .thinkific.com. And so I will be making that web address available to those of you on my various Facebook pages, but I want to address that here right now because it is different compared to what it was before. All right, so with that said, let's kind of take a little tour through the course. So when you arrive to the course, you will see all of the different courses that you could purchase. And this is a lot cheaper compared to what you would pay at a traditional college. At the college I teach at, for just one semester of Human Anatomy and Physiology 1, you're paying, over $800 for just one semester. Here, you're getting it in smaller chunks, and they're very reasonably priced, I believe. So AMP1 is divided into 3 different sections. AMP2 is divided into 4 sections. And each section is $50. So for all of AMP1, that's $150. And like I said, it's over $800 at the college I teach at. So you're getting the same college level course. The only difference is we don't meet for lab. So I'm hoping perhaps down the road as things progress and as I earn more money doing this, perhaps I can do some traveling, maybe even with working with Dr. Morris, meet students and do some lab work, do some hands-on, maybe look at together some anatomical models or things like that. So this can grow, but I just wanted to give it to you at a reasonable price right now. And you're getting, like I said, college level content. This is a sophomore level course, but I am including in the course the prerequisite material. And really, that's why it's important to start from the beginning. It's important to, I would start with AMP1, Section 1. And in AMP1, Section 1, you're getting an introduction to human anatomy and physiology. You're getting a whole chapter on chemistry. I get into the basics of chemistry, like what is an atom, what is an ion, what is an atom made up of. And then we progress into molecules and chemical reactions. And then we even get into some biological chemistry, some biochemistry towards the end. So you're really getting that foundational material because remember, chemistry is really at the heart of physiology. All physiological processes are based upon chemical reactions that occur within our cells and outside of our cells. So you need to have an understanding of what these things are within the world of chemistry. And then we get into cell biology in this first section. So you need to understand what the cell is, the smallest unit of life. What are the different organelles in the cell? What do they do? And, different factors that can affect cell health and cell physiology. And then after that, histology is covered, which is the study of tissues. Tissues are made up of cells, but there are 4 major tissue types that we cover. And then finally, in Section 1, you cover the skin, which is the first major organ system in human anatomy and physiology. There are 11 major organ systems, with the integumentary system being the first one. Then in AMP1 Section 2, you get into bone tissue and the entire skeleton. I break the skeleton down into the axial skeleton, which is your central axis, the skull, the vertebral column, the rib cage, as well as the appendicular skeleton, the arm bones and the leg bones. So you're really getting into the anatomy there. You're learning all of the major structures in the skeletal system. Then we get into the muscular system. First covered is muscle physiology. How do skeletal muscles work? What is the physiological process that leads to muscle contraction? And then we cover all of the major skeletal muscles in the body. AMP1 Section 3, we cover the nervous system. Then I get into the brain and the different parts of the brain, the spinal cord and its functions, the autonomic nervous system, which Dr. Morse talks quite a bit about, the fight or flight system, which is the sympathetic nervous system, as well as the parasympathetic, the rest and digest. And then I get into a little bit of special senses. So, like for instance, the anatomy and the physiology of the eye, of the ear, of the taste buds. All of that is covered here in section 3. So all of this is A&P1. And you're getting all of A&P1, which is a full semester college level course for just $150. And just so you know, for A&P1, section 1, and for section 3, I do put a time period on there. So you have to finish these two in 60 days, 2 months. And A&P1 section 2, because it does have a little bit more content, I gave you a full 3 months or 90 days. And the reason why I have to put time limits on this is because I'm charged to run this website monthly, and I have to make sure that students are completing it, so that, if you take all of your time and I can't afford to continue the monthly payments, then we're both going to lose out. But also, you really have to focus when you're studying anatomy and physiology. It's not something that you can just do every now and then, like, oh, maybe once a month I'll look over some content. This is a college level material, and I expect from my students a lot of commitment to this course. And if you're going into a natural health field, or you're a detoxification specialist and you're going to be working with clients, I want you to really have this foundational knowledge. I want you to be able to talk the talk, because these patients are going to be probably coming to you, and I said that incorrectly. These clients are going to be coming to you after having spoken to their own healthcare providers, and I'm sure that they're going to have some questions for you. And you don't want to look like you don't know what you're talking about. So if you have this understanding, you're really going to have the ability to better communicate and assist your clients. And that's my goal in helping you all. Now, we move on to A&P2, and I've broken A&P2, Anatomy and Physiology 2, into 4 sections. Again, each section is worth $50. All 4 sections, by the way, you have a 2-month time period. So 2 months for the section 1, section 2, 2 months for section 3, and 2 months for section 4. So 2, 4, 6, 8 months total, and then up here, 4 months plus 9 months. So that's 4 plus 9, I can't add, I'm sorry, 4 plus 5, that's a total of 9 months. So you have plenty of time to get through this. Remember, a full year course is typically 9 months for my students. So they get through this material in a faster time period than I'm giving to you. But like I said, because I have to pay to keep this website running every month, I can't just offer unlimited time. So I have to kind of time it. And also, the material that you cover is going to be given to you in increments. And I usually do like 10 to 11 days. So like the first chapter of that section, you'll have 10 to 11 days to get through it. But you have more time than that in reality. So you have the full 2 months to get through the material, but I'm trying to help you pace yourself. At the end of each chapter, you have an assessment, which I'll show you, and there's also review material and note pages that you can take notes on as you're watching the video lectures. Okay, so again, A&P2 section 1, here you cover the entire cardiovascular system. We get into blood and what blood is made up of, the chemistry of blood. We cover the heart, blood flow through the heart, the physiology of the heart, the cardiac cycle, and then the blood vessels. Really, the anatomy of the blood vessels is covered here, so the names of all of the various blood vessels, arteries, and veins in the body. Also, we get into the physiology of blood flow and blood pressure. In A&P2 section 2, and I know a lot of people love this section because they are followers of Dr. Morse's work, but this is where we cover the lymphatic system and the immune system, as well as the endocrine system. I love this section, honestly. This is probably my favorite section of the whole course. The lymphatic system, we will cover it as it is taught in a traditional pre-allopathic healthcare field anatomy and physiology course. So in this course, you're not getting the Dr. Morse material. If you want that, I have additional videos where I address Dr. Morse's understanding and explanation of the lymphatic system. So I have alternate videos for Dr. Morse's work. But here I want you to understand the lymphatic system as a doctor or a nurse who's gone through traditional training as they would have learned it. That's my goal, because if you understand it that way, then you can better make a discerning, objective analysis. Does this make sense? And why does Dr. Morse's explanation maybe make a little bit more sense? So that's why I present it in this way. This is the same way I would present it to my traditional students. So we cover the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic vessels are covered, the lymph nodes, all of the major lymphatic organs like the spleen, the thymus, the red bone marrow where all of the blood cells are initially produced, the malt, the mucosa-associated lymphatic tissue, which includes Peyer's patches and the appendix. So all of that is covered in the lymphatic system. Then we get into the immune system, the immune response. I even touch base on vaccinations, how vaccinations work. And then we get into the endocrine system, which a lot of people, I think, really like the endocrine system. All of the major endocrine glands are covered in this section. We cover the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland. The thymus is covered, the pancreas, the adrenal glands, all of those major hormone-secreting glands, even the reproductive organs, the ovaries and testes. Anything that produces hormones, that is covered in this chapter. And we talk about the chemistry of hormones, which is why you need to cover Section 1 so you understand that foundational chemistry, because there's a lot of chemistry when we discuss hormones. There are different classifications of hormones, steroid versus non-steroid, which has a major impact about how they travel in the blood and how they target the cells that they're going to be affecting. So you have to have that foundational chemistry knowledge before you cover this section. In Section 3, we cover the respiratory system, which includes the lungs, and how breathing works, the physiology of breathing, and how breathing is controlled. Breathing is something that we can control voluntarily, but, we don't always think about breathing. So how is it that we continue to breathe without telling ourselves to do so if the main muscle of respiration, the diaphragm, is a voluntary muscle? We cover the entire digestive system in this section, going from the mouth all the way down to the anus and every organ in between. So we look at the physiology of digestion, how food molecules are broken down into their simplest subunits, and I get into some absorption there as well. And then also covered in this section is the urinary system, which includes those very important organs, the kidneys. So we talk about how the kidneys filter the blood. As we also know, the kidneys filter the lymphatic tissue, but I have to address this as a typical student in a pre-allopathic healthcare field would learn this material. So that is covered, how the kidneys function. We look at the functional units of the kidneys, which are the nephrons, and we discuss filtration, reabsorption, secretion. All of that is covered in this section. And then finally, a very fun section, we cover the reproductive and pregnancy and development systems. So in Section 4, we're looking at the male reproductive system, the female reproductive system, and then pregnancy and development. I even get into the hormonal cycles. So for instance, the ovarian and uterine cycles in females are covered in more depth in this section. So that's a great and interesting section as well. So every single section, the chapters within that section, and let me just kind of go to Section 1 here. Okay, so introduction. You can see in the introductory section, or in the introductory chapter, which is Chapter 1, there are videos, okay? So each video has associated with it the slides that are going with that video, if that makes sense. So one thing you might want to do is you might want to print the images for that slide. And as you're watching the video, you can take notes on your printout. Or you can just do it the old-fashioned way and, watch it and take notes. And then maybe after you're done watching the video, review these slides. Because the slides are showing you exactly what is on the video. So if I'm showing you an image of something, you can take notes on that. and really understand it. And I'm a big believer of students rewriting their notes, organizing their notes, because when you make your notes your own work, your own artwork, really, you really learn better that way. I mean, I'm always marveled at what my students bring to me during my office hours. They create these beautiful charts and pictures, and they have all of these detailed explanations, and they say they have a lot of fun with it because, anatomy is a very art-based science. You have to have a visual understanding of these organs and tissues and how they work, and you can add color and you can add some creativity to it all. And then there's a quiz or an assessment at the end of each chapter. And usually the assessments run anywhere from like 25 questions to maybe 50 questions. And it's not timed. You just answer the questions. You can go back and refer to your notes that you've taken. So if you take really good notes, and I should say these review questions are there also. So there's some review material, outlines, and questions that I ask that you can answer as you go along. And you don't have to turn this in, but by answering these questions, you're preparing yourself for the introductory quiz or for the quiz at the end of each chapter. So every single chapter has that. That's just chapter 1. Here we see chapter 2. And again, I have more videos in chapter 2. I think I cut it down into smaller videos. The time length is a little shorter. And again, the slides, the review questions, and the quiz at the end. Okay, now these quizzes that you take, a grade will be recorded. And after you've completed all of A&P1 and then all of A&P2, I calculate your overall grade for human anatomy and physiology. And if you've scored an average of 75% or better in the entire human anatomy and physiology course, then you will get a certificate of completion that you have completed a college-level human A&P course. And it's a very rigorous course that my own students that are going into the medical field would take. And this is really going to prepare you, I think, to become a natural health counselor, detoxification specialist. You're really going to understand your craft that much better. And, these videos are very valuable. As you're learning the material, take really good notes. And I should add that you can purchase the book that goes along with all of this. Okay, so let me go back to the main landing page. So the required textbook for this course, this is the textbook that has the same images that are used in the course material. It's the 9th edition of Martini and Nath. This is the ISBN number. You can click more information when you go to the landing page. This is an old edition of the book, so you can probably buy it relatively cheap on Amazon. Now, if you want to buy the latest edition of the book directly from the publisher, you can do that. And that might actually be a good idea because the publisher, which offers the latest edition, they're going to include with the purchase of the book ancillary material. So you get access to the textbook website. You get cool animations and videos. You even get a virtual human cadaver lab and what they call practice anatomy lab, which gives you images of all of the bones, of all of the muscles, and a human cadaver. So if you really want access to all of those course materials, and you can even through the publisher website buy an ebook, which is a lot cheaper than buying the physical book, which they would mail out to you. You're going to get a lot of great learning material with all of that. So there's a couple of options. You can just buy a cheaper version of the book online through like Chegg or Amazon, or you can go through the publisher, which I think the publisher offers really great ancillary materials. And there's me. And so, I'm going to offer you support. And so my plan is for all of my students enrolled in my course, I want them to have the ability to get a hold of me through Facebook or through email or even through the course website directly. There's a place where we have a discussion board and you can ask questions and other students can comment on your questions. So you have the support that you'll need. In my traditional college that I teach at, I hold every week 5 hours of time that I dedicate to my students outside of class. So these are my office hours. I'm going to have office hours for you as well. So when I do my live Q&A videos every week, that's a chance for you to ask questions. And that way everybody can benefit from your questions. But we can also have one-on-one time, just myself with the student, and I will be offering Skype sessions as well to my students. So that's going to be something that will be advertised a little bit later. I haven't set the Skype sessions for student learning up yet, but I will be announcing that relatively soon. But I at least wanted to go through the course with you all. And I hope you all enjoy it if you do sign up for the course. Maybe just start off with one section at a time. You don't have to buy everything all at once. Just do one section at a time, and then you can take a little bit of a break and go into the second section. So even though you do have a time limit, you do need to kind of go through the order that it's presented. That's how I recommend it, because each course builds upon the course before it. All right, so I'm going to stop here. I hope you all have a wonderful day or evening or morning, whatever time it may be where you are. And email me or get a hold of me if you have any questions. And my email, by the way, is pattyloggernd@gmail.com. So you can get a hold of me that way, and that way I can offer support or answer questions about the course for you. Have a great evening. Bye.